All right, today we're going to talk about subject-verb agreement. Remember that a subject is the person, place, or thing that is completing or doing the verb. We're going to talk about subject-verb agreement. When we're talking about subject-verb agreement, we're talking about verbs that are in the present tense. We're not talking about past tense. We're not talking about future. We're talking about present tense verbs. And subject-verb agreement is very important, but it's also very easy. And I'm going to show you a quick little map to help you understand. So the very first thing I want you to do is turn your spiral sideways so that you can use the whole page. We're going to turn it horizontally to use the math term. And you're going to draw yourself 7 boxes, just like 2 little patterns. You're going to start here where it says start here, right there. Oh, sorry. And then we're going to just follow the path as we go. Next, I want you to fill in the first box where it says find the subject. And remember who or what is doing the verb. So if you're struggling, find the verb first, then tell me who or what is completing the verb. So like if the dog barks, well, barks is the verb. I can see that pretty quickly. Who is doing the barking? The dog. Now we've got a little dilemma. We've got 2 paths. We started here about finding the subject, but now we have a choice. We can go this way or we can go that way. So the first thing we're going to ask ourselves is the subject singular? If the subject is singular, we're going to the top. If the subject is plural, we're going to the bottom. So make sure to fill in singular and plural on your map. Now we're continuing. Let's just say our subject is plural, or excuse me, is singular. So now we're going up again. Now we're going to fill in this box. If our subject is singular, the verb will end in S. This is a pretty easy thing to remember because singular starts with an S, so your verb is going to end in an S. Lots of times you'll hear this referred to as a singular verb. I myself find that confusing because verbs aren't things or people, so they can't be singular or plural. You might say that it's the singular agreeing verb. It agrees with the singular subject. But it's really nice because if the subject doesn't end in S, the verb probably will. So if the subject is singular, the verb will end in S. Go ahead and get that written down. And then down here, if our subject is plural, then if the subject is plural, the verb will have a plain ending. Plural starts with PL. Plain starts with PL. And by plain, I really just mean that it's no S. So in the case of the subject, when the subject is plural, most nouns, when they become plurals, we add an S at the end. Most of them, not all of them. So then the verb will not have an S. You'll also hear this referred to as the plural verb. I don't really like that because verbs aren't things or people, so they can't be singular or plural. But for the sake of it, it's a plural agreeing verb. But I like to remember that plural subjects get plain ending verbs, meaning that there's no S at the end of that verb. So let's go back through this one more time. So remember, we're going to start here. We're going to find the subject first. Then we're going to go ask ourselves, is the subject singular? If so, then we're proceeding on. If the subject is singular, the verb will end in S. Okay, singular, S. So when I look at the example sentences, the dog bark or barks, what's my subject? My subject is dog, right? And if I have a singular subject, what's the verb going to end in? S. My mom sing or sings. My mom is singular, so she sings. It ends in S. Okay? He is my subject. He is singular, so he laughs. S ending verb. Joe is singular, so he dances. S ending verb. All of those verbs end in the singular. The only time that this is really not going to work out for you, one of the only times, is if it says I. If the subject is I, like laugh or laughs. Even though I am singular, I still just laugh. Okay? So don't be confused by that. Consequently, or on the other hand, I should say, if the subject is plural, then our subject is going to have a plain ending. That means no S. So let's do the same thing. If I'm talking about 3 dogs, I'm talking about more than one dog. It's a plural subject. So if it's plural, it's going to have a plain no S ending verb. Our moms sing or sings. Our moms, that's a plural subject. So our moms sing. It's a plain ending verb, no S. They, that's more than one person, is a plural subject. They laugh. No, it's a plain ending verb, no S. Joe and I, because there's 2 people, that is a plural subject. This is called a compound subject. That means that there's more than one. So Joe and I is a plural subject, so we get a plain ending verb. As I said before, subject-verb agreement is pretty easy, but there are a couple of times that it doesn't follow the rules, just like I demonstrated earlier with the subject I. I also want to bring to your attention that some subjects don't change the spelling for singular or plural, like fish. If I said the fish swim or swims, whatever verb you choose is telling the reader or is telling the writer basically how many fish they have. So if you said the fish swim, that's a plain ending verb, so obviously I can infer that there's more than one fish. But if I'm just talking about one fish, if I say swims, then I'm implying that there's one fish only, because this ends in S and this so this must be singular. Okay? So again, subject-verb agreement is very easy if you'll just follow the map. You're going to start here. You're going to find the subject. You're going to ask if it's singular. If so, the verb ends in S, just like all these examples. If barks, sings, laughs, dances. If the subject is plural, you're going to go here because it's going to end in a plain ending. That means no S. Then you're going to go here for things like bark, sing, laugh, dance. If you have any further questions, please make sure to see your teacher, come to tutorials, or write them down and slip them a note, because this is really important and it's actually going to factor into our next piece of the lesson, which is finding subject-verb agreement when there's something interrupting the subject and the verb, mainly a prepositional phrase. So we want to know how to find the basics in subject-verb agreement today so that we can find the complex subject-verb agreement tomorrow. Until then, I want you to have a great day. I want you to see the good in the world and be the good in the world.